Hey, what's up guys? DJ Nice Mobile and Nightlife in Tustin, and today I've got one of these. It is Technics 1200 Mark 5 model. It belongs to Daimon Sushi, where I DJ. I'm actually the manager for booking there, and I'm by default also the equipment manager, and I think the RCA's went out on this one, so we're going to troubleshoot it, see what's exactly wrong between the connection between the Tonearm and the RCA, and see if we need to replace these things. If we do, then I'm going to show you guys the process on that, but let's find out. Now, whenever you guys first come across a connectivity problem, what you want to do is actually take off your head shell. If you're wearing jeans, this really helps. You rub the back of the connection there, and you rub it against your jeans, and that will take care of the dirt that might be built up on this. Also, if you guys look inside the Tonearm, you can see that there's 4 prongs in here that connects to the head shell, and these things are made out of copper. A lot of times people, when they have connectivity issues, they like to lick their cartridges. They like to lick this back area right here and stick it in. And what happens is their saliva gets on these copper prongs and corrodes them. And so sometimes you'll see little dots of rust. When it gunks up like that, you do have to use acid flux. It's something that's used during soldering process. It's a very abrasive type of chemical, but also you might remember these. This is Radio Shack's Tuner Control Spray or Control Contact Cleaner and Lubricant. There's also a brand called CAIG, C-A-I-G, I believe, that makes Tuner Control Spray. It's a little like WD-40, where it takes away rust and moisture from contacts, but it's a little bit better than WD-40 for electrical stuff because it doesn't leave a oily residue. And so you might want to take some napkins, wrap it around the head of this thing, and then take the tube. There's usually a little plastic straw that goes right onto the cap and onto the spray head here, and you spray it like a really quick squirt into there. And then take a Q-tip and swab the excess out. And a lot of times that helps you to clean the rust off of the prongs. So that's one way to troubleshoot it. Once you've tried that and you still have issues, or if you plug in the RCAs to the back of your mixer or your Serato box or whatever, and if you're getting intermittent issues, then you probably have a breakage somewhere, like in the short here, or maybe the input prong here has broken. So in that case, you're going to have to take it to a shop unless you have one of these. This is a multimeter, and you're able to measure resistance and electrical properties and stuff like that. But all we're going to do is do a conductivity test. On this one, it looks like that. And when you take the 2 probes from the multimeter, and when there is a connection, you hear a little beeping sound, and it tells you what the resistance level on that is. So what we're going to go do next is take your RCA, touch the one probe onto the tip of it, and then go ahead and probe the prongs one at a time. See if it beeps. So there's no connectivity issue with this one. Go ahead and probe the shielding on here, and let's probe the prong. Sounds like it's working just fine. Now we're going to take the tip of the left channel, hold it against the probe here, and we're going to probe inside the Tonearm. This should be the left top. I'm not getting any sound. I'm going to try all the other prongs. There's no other sound. So it seems like this one right here is broken. Let's see if there's a connectivity issue between the shielding and the prong for it. Sounds like it's fine. I'm going to check with all the other prongs to see if there's a short. There is no short. So the culprit is this. It's the tip right here. Now we're going to, it seems that there's a breakage between here and the tone arm, but we don't know where exactly that break is. It could be inside the cable. It could be somewhere between the cable. There's a chipboard inside of the tone arm here. Inside the tone arm here, there's a little chipboard that this connects to. So there might be a breakage inside there, and there might be a breakage somewhere between the tone arm and that chipboard. If there is a wire breakage between here and the chipboard, this tone arm does need to be replaced, which is a huge pain in the butt. So hopefully it's not that, but we'll be back. Alright, so this is how you open up a 1200. First of all, you take off the platter, and then you take a milk crate. So here's a milk crate. I've lined it with one of those cardboard trays that comes with water bottles. I think it's like for a 24 pack. And the reason why I do this is because when you flip over the turntable, a lot of dust usually comes out. And I mean, you know, you could let it fall on your table and clean that up later, but this is one way to keep your work area a little bit cleaner by collecting the dust. Alright, so we've plopped the turntable right on top, and as you can see, it fits pretty snugly. One thing you got to worry about is making sure you don't hit your tone arm onto the edges of the crate here. And also your pop-up light is underneath here. Make sure that the turntable is not sitting right on top of the pop-up light on top of the edge of the milk crate here. But this will be pretty secure, and it'll make your life a lot easier when you're trying to take the bottom rubber plate off. You can see that there's a ton of screws here, which is always a really big pain to work on manually, so I'm going to use a power driver. Actually, one little tip is do not use a driver, the power driver, when you're closing it back up, because these screws right here are pretty fragile, and the heads end up breaking off of them. So, and what's going to happen is, so the head breaks, the washer comes off, and you have a broken screw piece in there, and you'll never get it out. So just a little tip. Alright, let's see how steady I can keep the camera. Alright, you get the idea. Alright, I've taken the rubber base off, and this is what the bottom looks like. And what I need to do is get inside the tone arm cavity here, and so I'm going to remove this clamp cap and the screws, and there's two screws here. I'm going to get rid of those, open it up, and we'll be able to see the chipboard. Alright, so now I'm inside, and that's what the PCB looks like. And what we're going to do is see this middle contact. We're going to probe this and the end of the bad RCA and see if we have a breakage in there. If there is a breakage, that's good news, because it's we just have to replace this. But if there isn't a breakage and something's a matter between either here to here, you see that white wire right there, or between the white wire and the head, that's going to be a big problem because we have to replace the toner. Let's see. Alright, here's a moment of truth. I'm going to go ahead and hold these together. I'm trying to perform for the camera. And hold that together. Phew! Yep, there is no beeping. Let's try the shielding. Yep. Alright, so in order to work on the RCA, it's easiest to take this plastic acrylic base off, It's only a few screws, so it'll be really quick. I'm going to go ahead and use my power driver. Alright, so I got the acrylic base off, and in the process I just hurt my finger. That was weird. I have this screwdriver and for some reason this plastic piece broke off, and I had my thumb there when I was unscrewing, and it tore a hole in my finger, so that was a little weird. But anyway, we move on. Alright, so you take wire cutters and you snip off the, what is it called? Zip ties. And it frees up the cable. And what you gotta do is desolder these 4 points. Alright, so ding dong, the witch is dead. I've desoldered the cable. Boom. And what we're gonna do is snip this 9-foot Hosa brand RCA cable in half. So you're gonna have a 4.5-foot cable, and I'm gonna go ahead and take off the shieldings and solder it right on there. So be back in a moment. Alright, so I've gotten rid of the rubber shielding, and we've got the braided shielding here. You go ahead and twist it into one sort of bunch, and you do the same thing for the middle conductor, but you guys get the idea. You could do it with a crimping stripping tool or a pair of scissors. Alright, turns out I didn't have any cable ties on me, so just went to the Dollar Tree. Luckily they just had their grand opening, and they are in the same shopping area as I am, so went and got myself some cable ties and some junk food, and I'll be using one of these neon things in here. Luckily nobody will ever have to see it. So to mark the randomness of the night, I'm going to use a hot pink zip tie. I hope you guys don't mind. Alright, so what you want to do is get the cable in place, or keep it long, and then close this up as far as this is still pretty movable, and then get it into place so that you can see that the solders are going to meet up with the wire. Actually, I should have desoldered this, but please don't tell anybody. We'll just keep that on there and add a little more solder onto the joints, but anyway, this is how you do it. And tighten this thing so that the cable won't move back and forth. Alright, so there you have it. I did a really quick job of soldering. Not the prettiest thing ever, mainly because I don't have all the tools with me, but yeah, let's test it. So here we go. Good. 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 And good. And what we also want to do is make sure that there's no other shorts. So go ahead and touch the shielding, and then touch it to the white one right there. Make sure there's no bleed over, because sometimes when you're soldering, the cable does melt a little bit because of the high temperatures. But looks like we're doing pretty well. So what I'm going to do is run a record on this before we cap it up and make sure that it plays well. So I have to set up, I'll be setting up Serato to diagnose it also digitally on the screen. So here we go. Alright, so we've plugged in the Serato box, and we're looking at diagnostics here. And as long as you see a pretty clear circle, that's fine. Actually, with my Serato box, for some reason they left out a ground binder. So what you could do is, this is kind of ghetto, but take your binding thing here and touch it to the shielding of one of the channels, and you'll get a clearer readout. But you could tell that yeah, the problem's pretty much fixed. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. But let's play a track on here, make sure it moves correctly. Alright, so we're running a track, and it looks like it's running fine, so we're going to go ahead and sew this patient back up. So I'm also running Torque, my beloved program, and the error index on here is showing up as 0.1, which is pretty normal. So looks like it's working just fine. So one of the mods that I like to do is to keep this wire right here a little bit longer, or you know, don't cut it to length. You notice how like it gets soldered right here, but there's this leftover, and what you do is you tuck it under the screw right here and you close it so that this is making a permanent connection between these two, this cable. And what that effectively does is it sends the ground of the turntable power from here all the way back to here, and it also chases through this cable, this red cable here. What it's doing is it's grounding the turntable to the shielding. And for Serato and Torque, this seems to work just fine. It's usually in cases where there really is a true ground and the shielding is separate, like a hi-fi piece of equipment. You will run into problems, but this is going to be used as a DJ setup. That's one way to mod it. The other way to do it is to create a jumper cable between here and here, or here and over here through the shielding. But alright, so let's wrap this baby up and test it out. Alright, so let's see how well this cuts. So there you have it. It's working properly. Needle sucks, but everything else is great on it, so I'm going to leave it alone. But yep, that's how you fix an RCA on a 1200. All models Mark II and up.